The Obutto Sim Racing Cockpit is here. My initial intention was to take the box downstairs to the place where I would be assembling it, but as you may be able to see, I'm trying to give you a reference point here with the car, that it's a, well, it's a pretty big box, and according to the UPS or the FedEx label, I believe it's 110 pounds, and I'm not going to, yeah, there it is, 110 pound actual weight. So I'm not going to try to get this thing down the stairs to the basement. I'm going to unbox it out here in the garage and take the pieces down. So let's see what we've got. Alright, so the first thing we notice here, we've got the seat right on top there, and you know, it looks a car seat. I guess it's a full-size car seat, and they're bigger when they're outside of the car. They look, it looks quite a bit bigger, and it's quite heavy. So I'm going to have to set the camera down here for a second, get it out of the box, and we'll take another look at it. And there we go. It's pretty nicely packaged. Everything's done up in nice bubble wrap to keep it protected. Nice little, I guess that's the Obutto logo right there on the headrest. And we look in the rest of the box. All the framing pieces looks like they're very well packaged, very well protected for shipping. Very nice. It's going to take probably about a half an hour to get all that stuff off of there and the foam inside. So real nice job of the packaging and shipping. Couldn't be more pleased. We'll see what this stuff looks like once we get it downstairs. Start putting it together. Alright, so here we are in the basement. I'll be setting it up on this, this will be about probably a 6 by 3 foot area rug. I used to have that poker table sitting there, but as it turns out, this $400 sim racing cockpit will probably end up being much cheaper than my poker habit was. My nice little racing area here with all my die-cast Indy cars and some Indianapolis stuff here. So this is where we'll be setting up. Okay, so wow, that took like at least a half an hour to get everything unwrapped, get all the bubble wrap pulled off, and get all the pieces pulled out. Here's my box full of bubble wrap. Everything was very well wrapped up. It was taped in a few places that I had to cut with the knife, so you got to be real careful about that you don't scratch the powder coating when you're trying to cut off the wrapping materials. But very nice job. Lots of good looking black pieces. Nice big seat here. Let's start getting this thing together. Alright, so this first part was relatively straightforward. Just these two base pieces just get connected to each other. This is the front, holes for the monitor stand right there, and this is the back where the seat will actually go next. Just connected with these 4 bolts right here. Bolts, just with a Allen wrench and a pair of pliers or a box wrench to hold the nuts in place. Just screws right together, no big deal. Alright, so this step wasn't quite as easy as it seemed like it might be. Getting the seat on next. A couple little niggling areas that I'd like to point out to you. Let's get this thing turned over on its side here. It's a relatively simple process actually. It's just 4 bolts here. But the problem is that on the sliders here, and it's difficult to see maybe, but on these sliders the bolt goes down through the top of these sliders. On the back, the sliders don't really slide back far enough to get the bolt down through, so it took a lot of wrangling to get that bolt to go down through there. And then then you pick up the seat and you just drop it down on top of the frame here. I really recommend you get a helper for that. That was quite a acrobatic exercise trying to get that seat dropped down and to get the 4 kind of loose hanging bolts to drop down into the holes proper. Then it's just a matter of tightening down the nuts and the washers. So shaping up though, shaping up the Obutto. Alright, next step is the monitor stand. I've removed the monitor. We're looking at the back of this. I've got a 23-inch Dell monitor. I've removed the stand from it, and I've removed the 4 screws from these holes right here. I actually had to buy some longer screws. I hope these are gonna work. They're the M4 20mm screws. So at this point, it looks to me like this just is going to fit right on the back. It'll just set right there, and then we'll put those screws back in, and then we'll have our monitor mounted ready to put on the posts. Alright, so now we've got the two posts set into the base for the monitor stand, and they literally just slide right down in there, and then these knobs, you just tighten down these knobs, and that secures that pole into place. And then we'll put the monitor stand, attach it to the top of these two posts here. And then voila, we've got it mounted right there with those silver screws, but we'll never see the back of it anyway. So now it's time to put the monitor on the bracket up onto the post. So, alright, so now we've got the monitor mounted. Monitor stand just goes right on top of those two posts that we put in and tightens down with a couple bolts. It is adjustable. I put it in the highest position because I'm almost 6 foot. When I originally put it in the middle position, it seemed too low, so I pulled it back up. It's not real easy to change the height because you've got to completely take out these bolts, both of them, and then you can lower it down. And also this side, on this side anyway, the metal on the inside of the mounting post here is not exactly clean, so it's real hard to move that up and down. I imagine it'll wear down over time. I also went ahead and put on the mounting bracket for the keyboard tray, as well as the keyboard tray arm. That just bolts on, 2 bolts right there, and then a knob there to secure this in place. And then for the shifter module, this mounting bracket here, which I'll put the plate on here in just a second, and it should be noted that there are holes all up and down the rails here, the chair rails, so that you can mount the keyboard tray and the shifter module on either side, and in any of about 6 positions fore and aft. Alright, and the final few little things, we put the keyboard tray on here, and it's interesting that the keyboard tray apparently just slides right into the post. I don't know if you can see that or not. The lighting's not real good in here, but there's nothing that fastens it on there, so it's just sort of hanging. But it seems like it's going to be pretty secure. The weight will just be down. We've got the shifter mount on over here, and it actually seems like rock solid, and it has an adjustment knob there, so we can move it up and down if we need to. And then I've got the wheel tray set here. It just slides right down into the tool bolts there and has 2 tightening bolts, or rather slides down into the tubes here and then has the tightening bolts here. Although I did find when putting this, when putting these, the mounting posts down into the tubes here, if you've got these bolts, the pedal tray bolts, too tight, it makes it really difficult to get this to slide down in there. In fact, even now it's bound up pretty good, so that may take some adjustment or some muscle to get that adjusted. And then the pedal tray literally is just rests on this bar right here, which is just attached with these 2 bolts right here. Literally, it's just resting there, but you can put it into a few different positions, and once I get my pedals and wheel and everything set up, then I'll test that out. So here we have the complete Obutto cockpit seat set up with the monitor, and now it's going to be putting on my G27 wheel, and I should be then just about ready to hook up the old computer and return some laps. Yeah. So the last few steps have been completed. As you can see, I've got the wheel, the G27 wheel, mounted on there. I don't have it hard mounted yet. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do that or not. Relatively easy, just clamps right on. Same thing with the shifter and the pedals. Right now they're literally just setting on the pedal tray. I'm not sure if I'm real pleased with the location as they are right now. I might drop them down a little bit, but that's it. Then I've got the as it stands right now, I don't have a system to hook these into other than my laptop, so I'll be using just to plug the USB cord right into the laptop, get these things calibrated, set the laptop on the keyboard tray here, let it sit there, and we'll be ready to do a little bit of iRacing. I'm a little bit jazzed to get this thing going. So there you go. That's the Obutto rig. I may get a couple little video of me turning a few laps in this bad boy, but probably once I get it started, I'm just going to not ever stop racing. So there it is, the Obutto Sim Rig. relatively easy installation. I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to stuff like this, and it took me a couple hours. Of course, I was taking my time, and I was taking phone calls and dealing with children at the same time. So not too bad. I'm relatively pleased, and let's go racing.